Welcome to this week's Playoffs with Pat. We're 1 week into the NASCAR playoffs, and for all the people who are sort of being critical of the lead that Martin Truex Jr. had, the points that he'd accumulated, the playoff points, well, I think he showed us all exactly why he had those. He went out and won the race, and not only did he win it in convincing fashion, he was seven seconds ahead of the next closest car, but he did it after getting a penalty on pit road for exiting too fast. He came back through the entire field in a race with very few cautions, so he really had to race his way to the front. He wasn't getting the advantages of multiple restarts and things that often help you in that kind of a situation. Martin did a phenomenal job, and he showed us why he really is at the top of the field for the entire NASCAR Monster Energy Series this year. Before we look forward to New Hampshire, we need to look at a few things that happened after the race in Chicagoland. Chase Elliott's team was assessed a penalty, and his second place win was encumbered. The impact of this was a 15-point penalty for Chase, and driver points, 15 owner points as well. Of course, he got 10 points for the stage win, so it's not a huge penalty in the context of the overall playoffs, but it did drop him from 6th to 8th, and so it puts him in the middle of the field overall in the drivers that are left right now, but not near that bubble yet. Of course, if he doesn't do well at New Hampshire, that could change. So looking at the 4 drivers I picked to make it to Miami, Martin obviously has already advanced. Martin Truex Jr., as I said before, cream of the crop this year in NASCAR. It's really difficult to argue that anybody's racing better than Martin Truex Jr. Kyle Busch had a good race at Chicagoland. He got hurt by a loose wheel. Then they had a pit crew member come over the wall early. He really couldn't recover from that. It hurt his finish ultimately, but he did have a stage win. And watch for him to try to continue to get stage wins and rack up playoff points, because he's got enough of a cushion with playoff points right now that he'll probably get into the second round, even if he doesn't have fantastic finishes. So he needs to be thinking about that road to Miami, racking up as many playoff points as he can to try to get there. Brad Keselowski had a good race, also somebody who will probably advance the next round unless something disastrous occurs. And then my dark horse, Kurt Busch. Kurt right now is out of the playoff picture if he doesn't improve his standings. He's a couple of points behind Austin Dillon. He's got to move up, but watch for Kurt. I think what you'll see Kurt do potentially is try to get some stage wins. Because if he can get 1 or 2 stage wins, if you think about that, every stage win is the equivalent of finishing 10 spots higher at the end of the race in terms of points. Plus, if you get a stage win, if you finish first as opposed to second, you also rack up a playoff point. Kurt badly needs those if he really wants to have a shot to get to Miami Homestead, unless he's going to win races between now and then. So what's going to happen this weekend in New Hampshire? 4 drivers have 3 wins at New Hampshire. Ryan Newman, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, my dark horse, and Matt Kenseth. I'm sorry, 5 drivers. Jimmy Johnson's in that group as well. And so while personally I think Kurt's the guy who's going to do it there, I would never rule out Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy is going to do whatever it takes to try to win that next championship. And so I think as we look into this weekend's race, we're racing at a flat track, but a fast flat track, a big flat track. And you're really going to see drivers who can get off the gas, who can enter the corner as fast as possible and then get back on the gas, do well. That's going to favor guys like Jimmy and Kurt. It may hurt some other drivers who aren't as good on the flat tracks, better on a bank track, better on a big oval. But you're going to see exciting racing. It'll be fantastic at New Hampshire this weekend. Probably more cautions than we had at Chicagoland. That's going to tighten up the field and, again, make it easier for somebody if they make mistakes. And we saw a lot of them last weekend, either with pit crew mistakes or with issues on pit road penalties. It might make it easier for teams to recover, but pit crews are really going to have a lot of pressure on them this weekend. After what happened at Chicagoland, you can really expect an emphasis on pit crew performance as we look into New Hampshire. And that's this week's Playoffs with Pat. We're excited about New Hampshire, and we're excited about the NASCAR playoffs.